Let's get a look at what's happening with your news here in this 7 o'clock hour. Check in with Nathan in the news studio.
Thank you very much, John, and good morning, everyone. A House subcommittee has approved the governor's plan to create a statewide system that combines the regions in charge of mental health services with the regions in charge of providing substance use treatment. Kelly Garcia, director of the Iowa Department of Health and Human Services, says the proposal would streamline services that have a lot of overlap and make it easier for Iowans to get help.
As part of our assessment work over the last 7 months, we have heard from thousands of providers, and they've told us that our system is cumbersome. And so this bill really does take a huge step forward to cure that issue.
The proposed plan would go into effect July 1st of next year. Flora Schmidt is the executive director of the Iowa Behavioral Health Association. She says that timeline is a concern.
Our members are they've got a lot of angst right now. They just don't know what it's going to mean to their workforce, to their funding, and ultimately their ability to maintain a continuity of services over the next 18 months.
Iowa currently has 13 regions that provide state and federally funded services for Iowans with mental health issues and intellectual disabilities. There are 19 regions in charge of government-funded care for substance abuse and gambling addiction. The governor's plan creates 7 districts that would provide all of those services under one roof, which Governor Reynolds says would lead to a more efficient system. Looking elsewhere, the latest voter registration report suggests thousands of Iowans switched their party registrations to Republican so they could participate in last month's Iowa caucuses. Voter data from the Iowa Secretary of State's office shows there were about 16,000 more registered Republicans in Iowa on February 1st than there were on January 1st. The Iowa Republican Party caucuses were held January 15th. The data suggests about 5,500 of those were Democrats and 6,000 independents switched their party registration to Republican in order to participate in the caucuses on that evening. During the month of January, about 4,800 Iowans registered as Republicans for the first time. And again, it's kind of wild to think that the Iowa caucuses were less than a month away already, with quite a bit left in the presidential nominating process yet to go. Looking elsewhere, community college overall enrollment in Iowa was down slightly in 2023. Amy Giske works in the Bureau of Community Colleges for the Department of Education.
This year, we saw credit enrollment level off, down just 0.3% from last year. Since peak recession era enrollment in 2012, there's been an average annual decline in enrollment at about 2.3%, and that's in line with national trends.
But that enrollment decline does appear to be slowing.
As we saw in the fall 23 enrollment, there's just a slight uptick, so we hope to see that in next year's annual report. Credit hours are holding steady with a 0.05 decrease in student credit hours, so almost even. Credit hours totals a little over 1.5 million, with an average credit hours of 13.1 per student.
The number of high school students taking community college classes continues to increase.
This past year, over 52,000 high school students enrolled in joint enrollment. This is up from over 50,000 the previous year, so a 5.6% increase in headcount joint enrollment.
And Giske says those high schoolers taking college classes have a significant impact.
In total, joint enrollment students comprise 45% of all headcount enrollment at our state's community colleges this past year. That's a record high. At 2 colleges, NICC and DMAC, joint enrollment students accounted for over 50% of their headcount enrollment. And we have 6 colleges where they were over 30% of total credit hours.
She says the success rate of students who graduated or transferred from a community college to another school was up 3% to nearly 53% in 2023. And that is going to be wrapping up your KCIM 7 o'clock news. I'm Nathan Cones reporting.
Appreciate the update there, Nathan. Once again, we're going to talk weather. We've got some pretty warm temperatures ahead for the first half of the week, but cooling down for the second half. Details are minutes away on KCIM.